The Great Resignation doesn't seem to be over just yet. On average, more than 4 million people quit their jobs each month in 2022.
Yeah, and one of the top reasons why people quit their jobs is toxic culture. So today we want to talk about toxic workplaces, how to spot them, and how to know when it's time to quit your job. Joining us this morning is Dalia Feldheim, an organizational psychologist, author, and former chief marketing officer for Procter Gamble. That little company.
A little company you may have heard of.
Yeah. Good morning, Dalia.
Good morning.
Good morning. Lovely to be here.
Yeah. So I want to know what an organizational psychologist is.
Okay, let's go with
Can
that
we start
first.
with that?
Yeah, so after being in marketing for 21 years, I shifted my career and actually went back to my roots in psychology. I'm an organizational psychologist. Today I work with companies on bringing purpose and joy back into the workplace.
I like that. So let's go to the other side of it, though. How do you know, what are some of the signs that where you're working might be a toxic environment?
Well, first of all, sadly, as you said earlier, it's way more prevalent than we would like to believe. 1 in 2 employees experience toxic environments. Actually, it's detrimental to themselves, to people that see bullying in the workplace. You know, it has a shadowing impact for 3 years after the bully leaves.
Wow.
I would say the biggest so first of all, know that you're not alone. I would say the biggest signs are that you don't have psychological safety in work, at the workplace, which basically means you're not able to bring your whole self to work. You know, psychological safety is the belief that you can share ideas, share your point of view without being feared, you know, to be ridiculed, etc. So that's key, you know, trust between employees. But I would say, you know, can you bring yourself, can you bring your strengths to work?
If you're robbed of your own voice,
Right,
you know you've got a problem.
Exactly.
Okay.
So once you have started that path and you realize something here is not jiving with me, how long do you stay at this, what you perceive to be toxic workplace, and how do you take those steps to sort of remove yourself?
Well, I was asked this several times, you know, if it was your daughter, if it was your best friend. I wouldn't leave immediately. I mean, I chose to stay 3 years, okay? That's probably too long, but I recommend staying at least 6 months, okay? And in this time, trying to understand, okay? The first thing, be easy on yourself, because, you know, when you're in a fight or flight mode, amygdala hijack, okay? I always say you're kind of in the drama. So step out of the drama so you can understand what's going on, so you gain perspective. You name it as bullying. You understand it's not you, it's a situation. That's the first thing I would say. The second is this idea of, can you dance with adversity? Okay? Because thinking you'll never have adversity at work is not realistic. So dancing with adversity looks like, you know, what if instead of fight or flight, right, which is a natural reaction, you try to stand with your aggressor, with empathy, you try to understand where they're heading, and use the power of the punch to lead them in a beautiful dance, which basically means win-win. Right. How can you meet their needs while not sacrificing your own? So that would be the second. The third for me is really, and that's my thesis, was all about this notion of, can you coach yourself out of a toxic environment? And the answer is very simple, no. Okay?
Okay.
You cannot change someone that doesn't want to change.
True. Yeah.
And the only strategy that works in this state is zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. No humor, no, you know, trying to coach, which I try to do. It's basically saying, sorry, you know, this was disrespectful. I'm going to leave and come back when we're ready to have a respectful conversation.
What about getting a higher level of management involved, though? Is that to try to solve it? Is that something that's realistic?
No,
or
definitely.
Are you just...
So I think once you try that, okay, that's exactly the next level.
Yeah.
You know, you can't change someone that doesn't want to change unless you use leverage. And leverage is going to what's important for that person, which is the one-up, okay? So first I would, you know, definitely do a ethics line complaint, because that forces the company to deal with it. And don't leave without asking for an exit interview for the sake of the next generation to really raise the issue and awareness.
So I'd like to go back to something that you mentioned, because I think, listen, I've been working for
A couple of years.
a long time
in the industry.
And I know that there are generational differences. You know, when I first came through this business, I saw things as being adverse, and they were tough. And it's like the sports analogy. Are you hurt, or does it hurt? And so for folks who are watching this at home, and they're in this space where they're like, I feel like I'm surrounded by toxicity, how do you delineate between an adverse situation, which might just be really hard, but you can overcome it, versus something that is toxic, which is consistently knocking you on your face and you just can't get back up?
It's a great question because, you know, I'm a competitive gymnast, a platoon
Me
commander.
too. Not a platoon
Yeah.
commander, but I was a
Wonder.
gymnast.
Which was a crash course in stamina. So I consider myself a brave, tough cookie, right? So I was like, I can deal with this, I can change the situation. And sometimes it, you know, works against us, right? But the difference is, I mean, toxic environments are one where it's prolonged. So it's not like a one-time comment. It needs to be prolonged, okay? There's a bad negative intent, okay? And usually there's a power distance. So that's kind of the differentiator. Hardship is good. We grow from hardship, okay? You learn to fail or fail to learn, you know, the importance. That's why I say don't leave immediately, okay? So you understand if it's regular adversity that you will learn from and grow from. Post-traumatic growth is really important, growing from our hardships, or whether it's toxicity, which basically means you're not able to bring yourself to work, and that's when it's time to leave.
Don't knee-jerk and leave immediately, and here's my resignation, that kind of
Exactly.
thing. Real quick, you have a book signing, Dare to Lead Like a Girl. Tell us a little bit about that.
So basically, seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly, I went and studied organizational psychology, positive psychology, and I realized that everything that I believed about in leadership is grounded in research. Okay, so that kind of led me. It was actually a student of mine that in the Singapore Management University that said to me, "Thank you, I now know what my purpose is, but I know I need to be, you know, a corporate slave for a few years, and then I'll do what I love."
Where are you going to have the book signing?
Book signing tomorrow at Barnes & Nobles over lunchtime. This is all the learning, 5P, purpose, perseverance, people, and positivity.
Go
and
get the
power
book.
up.
Visit
So
her.
looking
She'll even
forward.
sign it for you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Dalia Feldheim, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much
Lovely being
appreciated.
here.
Yep. I feel better already. I don't feel toxic at all.